Hello and welcome to Unwarranted Music Opinions, a show in which three music nerds forcibly make each other ingest music that they haven't heard before and then regurgitate back up their opinions on it to be recorded for everyone to hear. I'm June Lindberg here with Brian Courtney.
I can't think of anything. I'm not as quick as Chaz. I can't remember the
Chaz
lyrics.
Jenkins.
That's the grossest shit I've ever heard. I don't want to regurgitate anything, let alone onto you two. If I'm going to
We've
regurgitate,
advanced- Like
It's
to
not, it's
stomach-based.
just a word. It's just an adjective. It's just,
it's the worst adjective you could possibly think.
You don't have to
even-
make these.
It's just it's just a synonym for,
I mean, our ear holes are
fine,
flooding
though.
at this point.
Yeah.
You don't have to be nasty about it. Is all I'm saying.
That right.
I'm not nasty about it. If anything, you all are putting words in my mouth and
That's
you're
even more
deciding to, interpret things a certain way. I just, say what the show's about. That's all. Just very
Miss
plainly.
Jackson, if you're nasty.
Miss Lindbergh, if
And-
you're nasty.
Today's episode is a live albums theme where we have all picked a live record.
It's a good theme. Let's do it again.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. It's a very different change of pace because while one of these records I would say is formatted kind of like an album would and has that flow, the other two are much more like, the experience you'd have if you go and saw someone live, right?
Wait, what the fuck?
It's
Which
a
one is
different
the
flow? It's a
flow?
different atmosphere.
She's talking about the Neil Young album.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was designed.
Oh.
The tracks flow into
thought
each
you
other.
meant
There's
There's
mine.
literally
I was like,
studio
what are you
recordings
talking about?
on Neil Young's album. It's the most closest to like a studio album of the live albums.
But Neil Young is the one we're going to talk about second. Up first, we're going to talk about Chaz's pick.
The album I picked, just like when we did children albums, all you need is one word to describe it. Live by Bob Marley and the Wailers. Released in 1975. Recorded in London, actually. Sometimes they'll say like where it was recorded at. It doesn't say on the album, but it does on Spotify. So if you wanted to know, I can't pronounce it's like Lichion, London. I don't know.
Close.
But this is basically just a genre we've never talked about. The closest
I
we've
didn't know shit about it.
ever talked about it was with Iz's Kainoa, which had some reggae elements, also known as Jawaiian, which is like a mix of Hawaiian and reggae music. But this is pure roots reggae. Like, this is the real deal. Bob Marley, no introduction needed. A fucking legend. I was telling Brian before the show, I mean, the man, like, top 10 most well-known individuals on the planet. There's nobody you'll meet that doesn't at least know the name Bob Marley.
Like Dylan level and Elvis levels of like.
I think he's beyond Dylan.
Yeah, probably beyond
in terms of
Dylan. I think
popularity.
The dude was
Elvis might
fucking
be a better
international.
comparison.
He
Even
might
still,
even
though.
be. He might even be. I don't want to say he's beyond Elvis, but at the same time, Elvis is very much a kind of American phenomenon, whereas
Yeah.
Bob Marley went international.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and for a
Maybe Zappa,
reggae,
'cause Zappa was international too. Those
Oh
are just
no
like,
way! Bob Marley is way
Way ahead
ahead
of
of
Zappa.
Zappa
Way
in terms
ahead.
of popularity.
geez, that's so crazy to think
I
about
would-
because like those are all popular dudes.
like if you want to think about like Michael Jackson, Bob Marley's on the same
Yeah.
level as Michael
Bob
Jackson.
Marley's
Okay.
on that level. Yeah.
that's a good point. I didn't know. See, like it's funny like when you're in like the internet age looking at this shit and you just see a big crowd and you don't really have any scope
Right.
for like, you know what I mean?
Think
Like you're
back
just
then in the
watching a live
70s,
set.
like a small town Jamaican band, internationally known. I mean, that's insane when you think about it.
Yeah, to blow up that scene that way too. And just
Yeah,
make
I
that
mean,
genre
reggae was
huge.
like, as everybody knows, reggae is a very Jamaican known sound. Kind of, if you want like a more modern, like ska, so like very like upper chord kind of playing and a lot of like drum and percussion.
very bouncy and very catchy.
Very groovy
I think.
too.
Yeah.
So for me with this theme, and it was harder for June's and Brian's pick, but what I wanted to do going into this theme is how would I base this based on compared to a regular studio album? Track listing, since it's a live album, the whole reason you want to go to concert is to see what they're going to play live. The feeling, like how it's recorded, whether we'll have very much crowd noises or not much. because it's really impossible to get that feeling of being live on a record. You have to be there to get that sense. But some come close. Like there are some live albums that really are like kind of put you in the atmosphere. And just how the performances are, you know, because some live albums are better than other just on performance alone. I mean, you could go through the Who's live albums alone, and there you get a varying degree of how wild they can get with it.
The first Doors live record has a really cool unreleased track on it that was made.
Exactly, and another one
it was intended for Strange Days.
And another thing you might get is different versions of songs. I mean, June, you're a great example of this with Fish. You knew the Fish live album versions of the studio songs before the actual recorded versions.
The holy half-hour tweezer variation.
Yes. So I just really wanted to get some reggae on the show. I've really wanted to talk about Bob Marley for a while because that's just a whole scene we haven't even touched yet.
And to mention that, like, Bob Marley is the most, like, obviously Bob Marley is kind of like, you know, the picture of the reggae genre, but it's not like he's the only thing that there is. And I feel like we're definitely aware in choosing Bob Marley and in talking about Bob Marley that, like, Bob Marley is not the only thing that there is in reggae music. Because I feel like a lot of people, that's where their education ends. Like, you know, go listen to oh my God, I'm forgetting the name of them, which is really bad for the point that I'm making right
I love
now.
that you started off. It's like they're not the only one. Like, oh, fuck old buddy, the reggae guy.
Here, I'll save you, June. I'll save you. It also
you have to cut this bit out.
No, this is staying in.
You're so fucked.
No, it's also fair to mention how much the genre has changed, especially like the Marley name is still going onward, where his family that has descended up like since his beginnings are still making music and have a much more electronic vibe to it. The reggae genre has many chapters in it as like any genre of music. But we're talking about
Congos. Heart of the Congos by the Congos. It's a great record.
Yep.
Go listen to that if you've only ever listened to Bob Marley.
We'll just splice that in. It'll be like never even.
The Congos.
So this is their first live album they did. Like I mentioned, 1975. It was released in December, but it was recorded in July, and it was in London. This has got all the hits on it. Get Up, Stand Up, I Shot the Sheriff, No Woman, No Cry, Burnin' and Lootin'. Like, for me, this is the perfect kind of, I would have loved to seen this live because it's got all the hits on it. Like going that with June and Brian's, especially Brian's, with maybe not as well known, or some of the songs were only performed on that record. It's hard to judge it that way, but with this particular record I picked, yeah, brownie points because these are all the big hits that I would want on a live album.
And there's only 8 songs.
Yeah, and it's 36 minutes.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks.
7 songs, sorry. Only 7.
It kind of sucks, though, to only go to a Bob Marley show in his prime and it only be like 30 minutes. Well, that kind of blows.
To be fair, these are probably select cuts. I bet you the set was actually longer.
That's a good pick.
Because the Neil Young album kind of has that vibe as well. Like,
I don't know.
Definitely, you know.
These flow into each other like it's just recorded in one take and then chopped up for the track listing.
Could have been recorded at a festival.
Like that.
Yeah,
it can absolutely be edited to sound like it.
You could be right.
The Neil Young record, we'll get to it when we talk about it, but that actually, the songs are picked from different shows, but that is the order that they were played live.
Right. I believe
Go ahead.
I believe mine and Brian's was recorded in one showing. It was one gig.
I would say mine is definitely that way. That's because it's live at Fillmore. You know, it's the setting, the venue.
On Spotify, next to every track listing, it all says the same thing: live at this place in London. So I think it's all in one show for mine. But I could be wrong.
The last track that plays is definitely the last track they played at the show because one, it's the most like crowd involved. Get Up, Stand Up. That one's great. The crowd like singing.
I was going to say, Brian,
that's like what the episode is about.
This is not only like one of your first reggae introductions, but it's your first introduction to Bob Marley, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like obviously I'd heard like I Shot the Sheriff, like, but I would have never understood
Might
that
have
these
heard like
were.
the Eric Clapton version of it or something.
Yeah, it's like this was not the rendition I'd heard, is the rendition from this album. And I liked it quite a bit. I mean, I thought it was really good. I'm not sure, how I could have thought it was bad, honestly. Like it's just, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's just, a lot of great protest music in a genre I hadn't heard, and this is like a good introduction to it. It's kind of weird when you're getting introduced to a genre, which I don't think we've done on the show before. Like we haven't like, to a completely new genre. Like we haven't brought on like an album that's like not had some elements of something we've heard before, but this is just like a true blue reggae record, and I have no fucking idea. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I have like this nebulous idea of what it sounds like, but now I know.
Yeah.
So to talk about some of the
and-
sounds,
Yeah.
I mean, I love the production on these instruments. The fucking instruments sound just as high as everybody else that probably was at this fucking gig. Like the fucking like keyboard like sounds fucking doped up, dude. Like
It's all very like happy atmosphere on the songs, which is I think maybe like lends credence to why like they got so popular, because they're very upbeat and positive, despite the fact that they're very clearly like as soon as you read anything of the lyrics, they're very clearly protest songs, and like the songs are extremely political.
Yeah.
Even though they're not in your face, like in a lot of music nowadays that's political, it's very fucking apparent.
They're smartly written,
but this is a little more.
And I think this is a attribution to Bob Marley as a lyricist. They're so simple that anybody could pick up on it, but it's not so beat you over the head with it as well, to where the man was a genius, like obviously, because he was able to reach such a wide audience with very poignant words, but the words were so simple that anybody could understand them. I really think, I mean, like No Woman, No Cry or Burnin' and Lootin', I mean, are great examples of this. Just very easy to understand sentiments, but I don't know. It really just shows why he's such a well-known figure of
the
all
songs
music.
are just really human. Like Trenchtown Rock is definitely one that's maybe like less political, but is like very human. He just says so little but gets so much across.
I mean, the simple phrase of like, when you listen to music, you feel no pain, so play me some of that music. I mean, that's such
like,
a simple phrase.
like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's a deceptively, maybe not deceptively. It just is like a really simple, like this album that's just so simple in its appeal. Like, because it's very much just like this upbeat, happy groove on a lot of the songs. Some of them are a little bit slower, but I don't necessarily think it ever gets into territory that gets like, even kind of sad, really. Even if the lyrics kind of go that way, they typically try to keep the music itself pretty upbeat, it seems.
I love the crowd atmosphere too. I think that adds a lot. I think this has the best crowd atmosphere of the three picks. I love it when they start playing
the best, like,
Get Up, Stand Up, and the crowd just goes fucking wild. I love that shit. That's like what I live for in a live album.
I would actually agree that this one probably is the best as far as like getting to hear the crowd and then participate like within the last song and just the cheering and the applause. But you don't really get that. Like you get applause on mine, and Neil Young's is more.
It's way subtle. It's way more subtle when you can hear the crowd.
Yeah,
like
they're definitely not
songs.
mic'd to have a crowd be a part of the experience.
This one, it's like they put a mic right in the middle of the fucking arena and just let them do their thing.
I think that basically plays into why we all love Bob Marley's music, like as a human species. Why everybody has decided collectively that Bob Marley is pretty great his stuff is just very life affirming and warm. And you get that from, like you said, the lyrics. And the crowd noise is just it's very much a communal social experience. Like, I don't know how many people are going to listen to Bob Marley by themselves in the way that we did. Bob Marley is the kind of thing you put on at a party, and nobody's going to be upset that you put on Bob Marley. Like, everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, it's Bob Marley. Everybody can like Bob Marley, whether it's somebody's like grandma
Or
like
that
your
poser in
bottom
high
leader.
school, or that poser in
Right.
high school that wears a fucking Bob Marley shirt and has no idea what the fuck it means.
It was his dad's shirt, and he needed a shirt for school, dude. You gotta chill out with this shit. You can't just go after people for wearing band shirts, dude.
Oh,
We don't.
Brian,
It doesn't matter. It's not a
Brian,
big
do
deal.
you have something to tell us, Brian? Do you have something to tell us?
It would. Did I say my dad's?
Brian was the dude in fucking middle school who wore a
Dude.
goddamn Pink Floyd shirt and didn't know it was
my
like
dad was not that fucking cool. I would have been wearing like a fucking. I mean, like Leonard Skinner's cool, but like it would look. He loves Leonard Skinner for the wrong reasons. Like,
Right.
that's kind of what it
Right.
feels like. Like it's like you know, Leonard Skinner flew like the Confederate flag one year, and then they came out and they were like, "Yeah, that was kind of fucked up. We didn't, you know, we were tone deaf. It was our bad." He's like, "No, why are you apologizing?" Oh, that's one thing I want to say is the dude is a great singer. I did not know that shit. I did not know the dude had like great vocal chops. Like he sounds awesome on every single song. Yeah, I was kind of really surprised by that. I just wanted to make mention.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with a strong 8. It's just a solid goddamn live album, and we definitely need to do more reggae of any kind on the show. So let's get on that.
I would be in favor of more reggae and another live episode. I would even do another live episode like this season, just because like I know we probably shouldn't because it'd be a little bit overkill, but like, and we got some other stuff we want to get to. But like, this was a really, I mean, it's a very simple
Well,
theme.
it's just like,
but the picks were pretty.
yeah, it's just
left
like
field, or not. Well, what do I want to say? Like the picks maybe have an easy. But I think your pick and June's pick, despite them being like well known, popular, and just like, you know, generally cemented, you know, picks as far as quality, I still learned a lot from them. Like I learned a lot about reggae, and I learned about a lot more about Neil Young and how, you know, why his live albums are so acclaimed. You know, you get a little context for stuff like that. So
well, it's just like weird albums or funny albums. Like we could do that to the end of time. There's always picks we could find that'll fit the theme, and of varying degrees. And I think next time we do this, we should try and get more obscure. I think this is a genre we could really pull some gems from.
I would have to. I know on like themed episodes before we've allowed to like normally sequels are the only place you're allowed to pick another artist kit, but I think I would finally have to cheat and use a sequels episode for the next live album we did. But I don't want to give too much away by saying that.
I'm going to go with a strong 8. This, I hadn't mentioned it yet, but this exact live record was a CD that I grew up with for years and years and years. So, yeah, Bob Marley is as integral to my childhood as many other people. And I barely even had to listen to this thing one time to be like, yeah, I know every single song on here front to back. It's ingrained in my memory.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go with like a strong 7 to a light 8. I greatly enjoyed this thing. Thought it was really awesome.
So I chose, and we'd already kind of previewed this a little bit, Rust Never Sleeps by
Wailers.
Neil Young and Crazy Horse. The 1979 classic live record, probably one of the best known live records out there in general.
Much like the Wailers, nobody gives a shit about Crazy Horse.
People give a shit about Crazy Horse. And
Like,
people give a shit about the Wailers.
I know, I know. It's just
People give a shit
in the
about both of those groups.
Zoomer age, it's Bob Marley and radio silence. No, they do not
You are
exist.
dumb. People know the Wailers. I actually am a really big Neil Young fan and have been for a long time. I just don't really mention him on the show that much because if I'm going to choose a Neil Young record, it's going to be an album that's been talked to death already in general. And I've been trying to steer away from stuff that's as ubiquitous as Neil Young. However, I think a lot of what we've talked about on the show has had shades of Neil Young's influence, and specifically influence from this record. This record is half acoustic balladry. The way that the style that he mostly was in like the early to mid 70s. And then it's not like Neil Young has never had a distorted guitar or a rough vocal. And by rough, I don't mean like, oh, that was a bad take too, but rough as in like emotional and like, it's not pleasant. It's good and it's emotive and it's powerful, but it's not necessarily a pleasant
Pretty different.
sound.
You don't necessarily expect it when you're like, oh, I love singer-song. You're like me, right? And you're like, oh, I fucking love singer-songwriting music. Here's some of the biggest singer-songwriters. And like Neil Young comes up, and you've heard like, you've heard like the standard shit, but you haven't got to Neil yet. And you're like, all right, I'm into. And then he sings, and you're like, okay, you're like, okay, this is a little bit different. Thought it would be more of a folkster.
The second half of the record kind of mirroring what Bob Dylan did.
You ruined my joke. I was gonna come in here and annoyingly go, yeah, Dylan did it first, and then
he was very well aware that Dylan had done that.
I know.
I think that it was a specifically designed move. The entire theme of this whole record is rock music and singer-songwriter music. In 1979, where it was as a culture, where it was as an art form,
and where it was going.
I don't know. There's just this wonderful historical lens that this album has, where the framework is this, like I said, it's like a Bob Dylan thing where half of it's acoustic, half of it's electric, but the electric side is also really rough and aware that punk music has existed for a few years by this point. He name drops Johnny Rotten of the Sex Pistols, who had already become a major phenomenon by 1979. And he's basically looking at all of the old rock and roll legends, like not really being legends anymore. He's seeing that how the scene is dying off. And I also think this is predictive as well. This is a predictive album because it's songs like Powderfinger and Welfare Mother's Sedan Delivery, and especially got that guitar tone on the closing track, Hey Hey My My. That sounds like a grunge. That sounds like grunge.
Dude,
it sounds like something late 80s and grungy.
Holy shit, the fucking guitar tone. And this has probably been dissected to death. But man, the guitar tone for 1979 on that final track is
nuts.
How the fuck?
It's legitimately nuts.
What did they do? How? They had like a piece of brick to plug into back then. Like how the
there's
fuck
just like there's just like a storybook opening like the beginning of Shrek right now, and it's like most things, it was on accident. Like you know they never intended to do it. It's just it is pretty fucking crazy.
But it's not even that it's like dirtier. It just sounds so
he definitely
good.
wanted a dirtier sound, but like it's definitely just one of those things you see in retrospect, because like he could have never known that someone would hear that tone and be like, that will be a genre. Like, we could have never known.
They call him the godfather of grunge for a reason. And his entire style is sort of where that, the 90s flannel grunge bands, like Neil Young was wearing flannel and having long hair and
smoking the dank
and playing with that guitar tone back in the 70s. And I think there's a definite influence. I'm going to stop talking and let you all get to it in a second, but I just want to mention how smart it is that the album starts with My, Hey, Hey, Out of the Blue, which is a beautiful folk ballad with lovely acoustic guitar. Hey, Hey, My, Into the Black, the closer, as we've mentioned, has a grungy guitar tone, is nasty, is ugly, like it's straight up ugly. It's enthralling. And I just love that he's like, here's where the scene started. Here's where this music culture that began in the 60s began. And here's where it is now. It's kind of lamenting a certain death.
It literally.
But also at the same time saying like, we got to move on at some point. You can't keep trying to retread the same shit that we've been doing. Like you got to find a new sound. And I think he's part of him saying like punk music, give it a chance. I think to a certain extent.
It's hilarious you say new sound. If some of this is studio recorded, but this is still a live album. I can imagine Neil Young with that fucking guitar tone blasting away and everybody in the crowd in 1979 being scared shitless. And the one guy off stage is like, hey, buddy, you know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this.
It's the fucking, shit, Back to the Future, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
you're ready for that, but your grandkids are going to love it.
Yeah.
Fucking great.
So...
to any Zoomers listening, Back to the Future is a movie from the...
everybody knows Back to the Future. Don't be a dick.
When's that movie from?
The 80s?
Okay. I was gonna say
So,
the 80s. This makes sense.
S tier, easy pick, but goddamn, is it so good? Neil's vocals, holy shit! It's easy to make fun of Neil Young because he has such a distinct vocals, but of the trifecta of John Prine, Bob Dylan, and Neil Young is king. He is goddamn king. I love his vocals so much. I love his vocals so fucking much. I love how it's like the best way to do nasal vocals. It's the best way to do nasals. He has just this cadence to it that, it's so beautiful.
I think my favorite vocalists in music are people who are like, I can't really sing, but I'd like to, you know, like, and like that. And it almost always is quality if it's really well known and has already been deemed quality.
What I love most about Neil Young, and this is similar to Bob Dylan when we talked about freewheeling, is that is that there's so much wisdom. Now, Bob Dylan was like in his 20s when he did Freewheeling. June, how old was Neil when this album dropped?
73.
Throwing that on me real quick. Hold on. He was born in 45, so
34, 39.
He was like 34.
Gotcha. I think, Chaz, what you're saying is true. Like, I don't know if wise is the word I would use personally, but like the best songwriters are just like very grounded and like clearly observant and aren't saying shit that is like unfounded.
The weight of every syllable is felt in a good singer-songwriter album, no matter the genre. It's the weight behind the words, and Neil is a king at it. He's a legend for a reason. The lyrics, though, holy shit. June, I know you probably got a big spiel about some of the songs here, so you'll get your moment to shine. The ones I want to highlight for sure are Hey Hey, My, both versions. Great metaphor, as June mentioned, for rock music, where it was going, how it has come to that point. Using the king of Elvis Presley dying, but Johnny Rotten lives, who Sid Vicious would die like 2 years later, which is just crazy. It's like Neil Young did a Simpsons before the Simpsons were even like a fucking thing.
Holy shit, he's fucking the godfather of the Simpsons too. Dude, this guy was fucking ahead of it. He was crazy. Foresight.
But like Powderfinger, goddamn, Welfare Moms, for sure.
Dude, thank you. Welfare Mothers is fucking great. It's like a 60s throwback kind of thing. Like, it is like
and Sail Away. Goddamn, I cannot.
It's funny because like he hits on Pocahontas on like this part of this kind of like section of country music that had like, and even maybe folk music to an extent, just not any folk music that I'm aware of and heard, that was like talking about like natives issues, for lack of a better term, like where there was sort of a movement or segment of songs. Think like Johnny Cash's Bitter Tears album, like where there was talk about like which is what Pocahontas the song is about, is like the slaughter of like native people by the whites. And that's once again the whites doing crimes.
And also we got to shout out Thrasher, which is basically Neil kind of roasting Crosby, Stills and Nash, like low key. He's like, kind of glad I'm out of that shit. I'm doing my own thing now. That song is
maybe like, if you had to pick one song that like defined the theme of the record, it's probably Thrasher, because it pretty much is what the entire record is about in one song.
Yeah,
talking about how like he's watching their star fall, and he's like, this is not a heartfelt, genuine thing for me anymore, this being in this band.
And the fucking riff, the acoustic riff on Thrasher,
it's iconic. It's so great. It's the best tune on the whole album is on Thrasher.
Thrasher is a wonderful, wonderful song, and I would say it's probably my favorite song on the record.
So we've touched on it. This production. I mean, like, before we get into the big spiel about the guitar tones on the back half, the acoustic guitar sounds amazing on the front half, and the harmonica blends so fucking well. Neil does it better. He does it better. He does not miss. The fucking harmonica playing is so goddamn great on this.
He's definitely less obnoxious than Dylan is with this harmonica. Like, because Dylan, I was at a piano lesson and I was showing my teacher this Dylan song. I was like, I kind of want to learn the piano part on this. And the first thing she said within 30 seconds was like, God, he's playing that harmonica loud.
But man, that back half, the fucking guitars,
dude. No, you're like a second half. Oh, what's the meme format? I'm gonna date this video with this. You're like a second half enthusiast, and I'm like the average first half enjoyer. Like, this is like, the first half is where it's at. All those songs are so fucking great from like start to finish. fan-fucking-tastic first half. The second half, I still like. I think the closer is one of the best tracks on the whole thing, but Neil is, like you said, Chaz, Neil just like picks the goodest words. Like he just has the best words.
It's just, I am such a sucker for ahead of the curve shit, because it's always just amazing to see where things come from. I can't even begin to describe, like, I would love to be the fly on the wall when they were like fucking around with this amp, probably that they bought at like a dollar store, and we're like, here, cut that wire real quick. All right. And it's like, like, whoa, dude, we got something here.
The more you listen to it, the more you realize like how shocking the tone is and how heavy it is. Like, because there was
and
a
the chord, like on the first song on the record, it's do 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 do,
and then it's like, boom.
Second one.
That's what it sounds like.
It sounds like a fucking
the ugliest
broken satellite dish.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But it's really smart, like just in concept how that is. You know, not only is it a reprise, but it's a total. It's
Because
like a statement, right?
Of
like
what
you
the
said,
words
Drew.
out of the blue and into the black mean. Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfectly.
And I don't even necessarily know if Into the Black is like. You could interpret it as being like this dark thing, but honestly, as time has gone on, I think it's more of a unknown, right? Like black is an unknown, not death.
It calls back to Powderfinger when he says he sees the black when he gets shot.
Yeah.
So it's again, it all just ties back to the theme of where rock and roll was headed. It's so smartly made. It really reminds me of Liana, like self-titled. I mean, the craftsmanship on this record is no joke. And for a live album, you don't really see that. Most of the times, it's just put a mic in front of them while they're playing live, capture the magic.
They play their best songs.
Good to go. Capture the magic, good to go. Neil was like, oh, if I'm doing a fucking live album, I'm going to make a fucking live album. And he did just that. Well, the thing is, like,
I mean, you could legitimately use the word experimental to describe what he's doing with the live format, because he's making albums out of the live format.
He did some weird shit with like movies and stuff. Like he
was hanging with Devo, which is so awesome. That's so metal.
Yeah, he's always been kind of trying to find ways to mix around mediums and formats. Some with better success than others, but this is a sort of a shining example of the most successful moment of that.
Yeah, I could see why, because it's also like sort of a meta commentary on, you know, what's going on. Yeah, it's really good. I don't really know what else to say. It's just
I've got my spiel in. I've listened to this many times before. I'm very well familiar with this album. It has my favorite Neil Young song of all time on it.
Which is what?
Hey, hey, my. Love that fucking riff. The emotion behind his words. I don't know. I think I like the acoustic version better. His singing on that is so great.
That song, I actually prefer the last. That's the one where it's the only one with another version, but like that's the only electric song that I prefer over any other acoustic song here, I think.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, because that tone is so dummy nasty, but oh man, hey, my is so great. I love that song so much. Lyrically across the board, it's just it's just spectacular on all fronts.
It also helps that like it's, you know, the lyrics, I think you could maybe lob the critique at it that the lyrics are simple, but like you also have to understand, like, this is at the time that he was making this album, he's one of the most celebrated singer-songwriters of all time. So like the dude has already attained a status where he can make this commentary and it has a lot of weight, you know?
I also think that they're simple in terms of the words that he's choosing, but he'll always say something that makes you look up from what you're doing for a second and be like, wait, what does that mean? Like,
dude, when he says,
like he has,
when he says rock and roll will never die, it's like the fucking lighters go straight up, dude. There's no words, man.
But there's also stuff like Pocahontas, Marlon Brando, and me. And you think, like, what is, like, you have to sit for a second with that. Like, why mention Marlon Brando in this song? Or Powderfinger, where he's telling the story of, you know, you're on a riverboat and you see another boat coming, and that's, you know, it's just a story that happens there. Or Ride My Llama, which is this funny little 2.5-minute track that's early on in the record that has deceptively very complex acoustic guitar arrangement.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing, like, he's just doing some wild shit with the acoustic guitar on that song. Like, it's not show-offy. It's just weird. Like, he's just, I tried to learn that song. I was like, what is, like, I don't,
well, it's
what is he doing here?
It's
but
one
it
of those,
sounds wonderful.
It's one of those moments where, like, you watch it happen in real time and you kind of do a double take. It's like, what the fuck did his fingers just do? Like, on that fretboard, like that shouldn't be able to be done. Because it sounds like two people playing at once, but it's all him. It's all him.
Sail Away is a nice little country folk ballad.
Great fucking song.
Yeah, that one's, I'd say that is probably the most similar to stuff on like Harvest or his stuff that he would come out with in the 90s, like Harvest Moon. Like Sail Away would fit perfectly fine on Harvest Moon. Welfare Mothers and Sedan Delivery don't get as much attention as the rest of the tracks, but
they're awesome.
For multiple listens, they're really good. And like, I love on Sedan Delivery when most of the song is kind of in this punk vibe, and he's just shouting out the vocals. Mm-hmm. And then it just goes into this slow movement. It's just kind of this loud, soft dynamic, which, of course, how people describe grunge. But that song has just great dynamics. Like,
I gotta shout out,
it's punky, but then it has this very bittersweet chord.
I gotta shout out the drums that come, the subtle drums that come in on Pocahontas. I believe that's the track where, like, they kind of play along with the playing. It's very subtle. It's very subtle, but they add so much to the playing. So great, so fucking great. It's not a 10, light 9. Love it, love it, love it. Classic shit. Classic G shit here.
Yeah, really cool. I think the coolest thing about it was getting to see how conceptual Neil got with his artistry, especially in the format of like a live record, something that I don't think a lot of artists had really done at the time. And that's my best
Plenty
guess.
of artists did live records.
Yeah, I know they did live records, but like with like the concept of
this sort of concept of it being like,
I'm not saying 1979 it was like, yeah, people started doing live records. It's fucking crazy. Like,
what about that live jazz record for 50s? Nah, that doesn't count.
I don't
it started here.
No,
it started in 79.
As we all know, jazz, not a real genre, not real music. So anyway, yeah.
Village Vanguard, no. What do you give it, Bean? 4. No, I give it like a light 8. It was really enjoyable. Of course,
give it a light 2.
I think I over-listened to it. I think I actually over-listened to everything this week because I was trying to unlock like the next level of enjoyment. But I'm at like a plateau right now with both of them.
It's so hard not to over-listen to this album because once you listen to like Hey Hey My, you just want to play that shit start to finish one more.
I'm going to give this a 10. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. It's my favorite Neil Young record. It slowly became my favorite.
It's one of the albums on her Facebook cover photo, so she ain't lying. She ain't lying. This is facts here.
True.
That cover photo, to be fair, is like 3 years old.
It needs to be updated now. It needs to be updated.
It needs to be updated. It just takes so long. Do you know how long it takes to make a top like 500?
That's because you do too many. You do too many. You need to cut it in half.
It's because, June, for you, moving your index finger forward takes like half of your strength. Like you.
I will beat the shit out of both of you.
You won't be able to. You'll take one swing, fall asleep, done. Like you'll take one.
I'm not. That is rude. It's not true.
Moving on. My pick is King Curtis's Live at Fillmore.
Talking to your mic.
I am.
You're not.
I am.
You are now.
This is how I've been talking the whole time.
There's very obvious distinctions when you are. And our listeners can tell.
Drop in the comments if you can tell when Brian's not talking into his mic and is talking into his mic. Drop a comment if you can tell the difference.
I think my favorite thing on our whole channel is that guy who timestamped and commented, yeah, it's pretty gross. And I had to click the timestamp. I was like, what is he talking about? And I was talking about eating chili and chocolate milk. And then I listened to me say that. I was like, yeah, that is pretty fucking gross. Anyway. King Curtis, Live at Fillmore West? Yeah.
No, south, big head.
Oh my god, it's fucking Fillmore West. Are you completely, like, you have no knowledge of anything ever, do you? Like, Jesus.
Hey,
right.
my. This is the tale of Brian Courtney.
So, I picked King Curtis Live at Fillmore West. It's a live soul jazz record from 1957. All right, Chaz?
Dude, 1971. What?
Yeah,
You
that was
were
wrong.
Decades off, my guy.
I think look, you said 50s between recordings, and I couldn't fucking remember. All right.
Take 5.
All right. King Curtis, live at Fillmore West, 1971, live soul jazz. Curtis Ousley, born Curtis Montgomery. Actually
You're
died.
reading off his Wikipedia page.
No, that's not true. He died.
You did. You literally was like,
Brian,
Curtis,
sometimes you don't
born
need to know
this.
anything. Just talk about the album itself.
Actually died the year this album was recorded, which I didn't know until just now while I was reading the wiki. Wait, no, I'm not. Fuck. All right.
Here on this genius.com page, I will read
That-
to you verbatim what these lyrics mean.
This is pretty much. I mean, that's pretty much all you need to know. This is you don't necessarily need a lot of context or need to know the band. This just so happens to be one of the best jazz albums ever recorded, and that I know of. And I don't know. I just wanted to share it with you too. I guess it looks like it's obscure online. Like it definitely looks like it's kind of a not so popular pick. But I think this is like a vinyl lovers jazz album. Like I think a lot of vinyl collectors know this album and know it's really great. Pressing sounds great. I managed to get a hold of an OG pressing for pretty cheap because it's it's popular but not so popular that it's like $50. And it just kind of runs the gamut. Now I think this album that I picked is the most like next to Chaz's is pretty normal too. Cause like in the face of Neil Young's like making an album out of his live sets, this is pretty standard. I think it definitely sounds like it was all recorded in one go. It's just like one event. Yeah. It's like an evening with a jazz band.
What sets this apart though are those fucking performances. Like this,
I think the performances are super killer. Also, I like how I like the flow of it. I like how you get these crazy, I mean, just like energetic can be jazz cuts cut with these really slow, like more somber or peaceful sets that still have really memorable parts to them. Also, the recording's like super dynamic. The loud parts are epic sounding, just the way they're recorded, and then the slower cuts really provide like a nice breather, between each set of more hectic songs. I think the first song on this album blows away. Like as far as like a live cut goes, the first song on this album is better than anything else we listened to this week, and I still believe that after listening to everything. Memphis Soul Stew, the way it's that fucking bass line as soon as it comes in is like the best shit ever. That boo doo 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 doo. The way Curtis is kind of like treating each instrument as an ingredient is so fucking cool. Yeah. He's like, and now a little bit of Memphis drum, and all the players, by the way, like there's a lot of pressure to show up when it's like now it's your instrument. They all kill it. And that 100%. Fucking second half, dude, when they kick into full gear and you get the full essence of the stew, oh, dude,
it's some good gumbo. Some good gumbo.
I'm gonna need some seconds. Like that shit was fucking delicious. Like it was awesome.
The best way I can describe this is the mythos of the Blues Brothers, just no comedy. It's like there's this legendary blues group that is just kind of known in some circles, and they come back together for a final show, and it's like the most legendary thing you'll see in your entire life. I mean, it's just so fucking amazing.
I love I can't remember what track it is off the top of my head, even though I've heard this thing about a billion times, because I just kind of listened to it all the way through. I don't really look at the track times. I do remember certain ones more than others, like I Stand Accused and Them Changes are two of the tracks that I've always really loved. Soul Serenade is a great closer.
Mr. Bojangles is awesome.
Oh, and which one is the Led Zeppelin cover, June? Isn't one of these a Led Zeppelin cover? I didn't know that.
Whole Lot of Love,
yeah.
Dude.
I don't know shit about Zeppelin. Literally never heard a Zeppelin record. Yeah, Whole Lot of Love is one of the best cuts on the whole record too. I don't know. It's like every song is one of the best songs on the record. It feels like when I'm talking about this fucking thing. It is. I remember I saw like the way I stumbled into it. I was actually looking at getting a Vinyl Me Please subscription. We're not sponsored and they're overpriced, but they repress some really old shit that's hard to find. And like Beverly Glenn Copeland is getting repressed, the album we listened to, the self-titled. And that's a fucking hard one to come by. I've never seen that for less than like $60, and you're looking at getting it for like 43 or something. But anyway, this was one of the jazz records that was up there, and I actually remembered I had seen it on when I would watch like needle drop videos. I remember I would see the cover of this on Fantano's shelf, and I was like, "That's a fucking cool ass album cover." And then I saw it might go up for repress or sale on Vinyl Me Please, and like I said, I was thinking about it, so I was like, okay, I'll go listen to it, and if I like it, I'll get it. And I fucking loved it. And not only that, I only paid about $18 for my copy. Fucking awesome album. I mean, this is literally one of my favorite jazz records ever. Like, Karma is the only one I could think of off the top of my head that's better than this record. Just the performances. It's just so electric. It's so alive. It's so like in the fucking moment. It definitely sounds like a live record, and it really truly is. Like, it makes you appreciate that it actually is like a once in a lifetime recording.
It makes you blessed that the microphone was invented to capture this fucking Cream Jeans performance.
Luckily, it had been invented like way before this, so it wasn't really a worry. But
they had to. Hey guys, we gotta record a live album, dude. Somebody's gotta go invent a microphone.
No, it's like, hey, how that's microphone coming? I'm probably have it done in the next couple weeks. I need it done tomorrow. Fucking King Curtis is gonna play a Fillmore West, dude. Get on that shit.
How have we recorded anything up to this point? Actually,
with wax, with fucking wax, and big.
They use mics on the wax. What are you talking about?
No. Big head. They used fucking like giant, like euphonium, like horns, and then scribed it on the wax.
You were making up words.
I'm not. Look it up. Look it up. Right. You will find it to be true.
Euphonium,
in the 30s?
Yeah.
Before that.
Like Bayou banjo picking shit on the fucking.
I'm sure there was more than that.
That's David did it. Recorded sound dates back to the 1800s.
I know, but the microphone was surely like a thing by the time by all the music we talked about. I'm almost certain it was a thing.
Yes, it was.
Dolly Parton microphone was a wax, man. It was all wax.
That's why that Dylan record was so simple, Chad. They just didn't. They were recording that shit with wax, dude. They didn't. They couldn't have picked up an electric guitar. If
I know,
because
I was like, "Where's the more instruments?" It's like, Dylan, you can only have one. All right, well, I'll get my trusty acoustic here.
God damn it. That is still, I don't want to get off track here. This is still the worst critique you've ever made. It's like, this folk album? Too folky. Like, well, Chaz,
look,
it's a folk record.
Look, I don't.
Where are the drums? Where were Woody Guthrie's drums? Suck my balls, dude.
Drums weren't invented yet. They had one more year to go.
It goes microphone, then drums.
So anyway. This is a great find. This is your pain, dude. Great obscure find here. And apparently
Chaz, you're my pain.
Yeah. Wow. This is amazing. This is fucking amazing. Hit you with that Owen Wilson real quick. Wow.
No, you did that and made a face, and then it froze as that face.
I did freeze.
Damn it.
For a few seconds, and I looked at it for a second.
Damn it.
I wish I captured it.
Damn it. Anyway, this is fantastic. I'm grading this purely on the fact that these performances are like 9 out of 10 the whole way through.
I think these performances, like, while the others may just have like better songs maybe or whatever.
It's hard to judge because they're three completely different genres. You're not going to have like this amazing sax playing on a reggae record. When sax is used on reggae, it's more of a percussive bass line kind of thing. It's not really going to have like a crazy... But you can just tell that even for a jazz record, these performances are outstanding. I mean, it really is the cream of the crop. And it's hard to judge jazz that way because a lot of jazz just has amazing playing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fucking jazz. Like, there's so much jazz. And, like, the thing with jazz, too,
that first
especially
track, as you were saying, man, sorry to cut you off. That first track sets it up perfectly of why you need to pay attention to this than other jazz records. Because every instrument that comes in on this record blows it out of the water. I mean, and there's a lot. It's like Wu-Tang level of, like, chemistry here. Of just
there's 16 musicians,
and it doesn't feel
fucking 10 of them.
It doesn't feel too busy. It doesn't feel bloated. Everything that is done is perfectly utilized to when it needs to come in and do its thing. And
by the way, King Curtis plays saxophone on this record. If you couldn't tell by the fantastic fucking cover on this album.
Like, and obviously the King Curtis kind of takes the lead most of the time. The sax definitely gets the limelight most of the time, and it's
There's a lot of piano and organ balladry that goes on.
Yeah, but
to me, like,
it's way
the thing
more
that put this album next level is the fucking organ. Like the organ, a lot of the time the organ is kind of just like accentuating things. But there's one track, I think it's the second track, is like a nice piano and organ led kind of ballad with obviously like the brass coming in to give it its bigger, more cathartic and emotional moment.
The brass section, though, like on the opening track, changes when they come in. Like, it reminds me of Blues Brothers so much. I love the fucking.
That's actually a pretty apt comparison, I feel like.
I love the playing so much, and the thing is, like, there's variety too. You got some slower jams, some mid tempo jams, some fast upbeat. Just we're gonna blow your socks off, rock your socks off, fucking jazz. I think this is more than just your standard soul jazz, because there's definitely like a church spiritual vibe, kind of the way that King Curtis kind of, orchestrates the whole thing. Like he's like he's preaching a little bit.
I think the whole thing, a lot of that is down to like, one, he has like a beautiful Texas accent. And
yeah.
Two, I think the organ really is what sells that sound.
But I think there's more to it than just that. But it's an obscure record on RIM, so you're only going to see like 2 genre tags. I feel like there's way more tags you could give this to describe just how an interesting
bluesy.
Yeah, it's very jam band, big band. Kind of reminds me of a little big band.
I was not aware the personnel was so big until like yesterday. I could hear a lot of instruments. Like I wasn't surprised to see that there were congas, but just to realize that there were like 16 people on here was like.
I think it's amazing that it doesn't sound like that, because it's really hard to. You can easily tell when there's like a lot of instruments in a jazz record because they're all playing at the same time to some degree. Here, though, it's clearly like it's waves. It's a movement kind of thing of like when things will come in and out and do their thing. But what holds it all together is King Curtis's sax, the drums and the bass, and a little bit of the organ to kind of lay the foundation where all these other instruments just come in when they need to.
I feel like me picking this is like rectifying because I know you really like Sons of Kemet, but
gone down on a little bit. It's a strong 8.
Sure, but like I feel like this is like a true jazz pick that I can bring to you and I can be fucking excited about. Because like with the Sons of Kemet one, I was just sort of looking for a pick, and not to discredit, like the band's great and that album's really good. This is like one that I could truly bring to the show that you all hadn't heard, and it's probably the most obscure thing I brought to the show that I can bring and say this about. That's like. I think is truly
That's the thing about
incredible.
Jazz, man. If you need obscure shit, jazz, because there's so fucking much, for better or for worse. So you can always find some shit that nobody but like 2 people have heard of, in the community.
Just for me, like a lot of jazz I listen to, I like all right. It's very hard for me to find like jazz albums that are like at another level to me. That I love, like truly, truly love. But this is absolutely one of my favorites. So, and I'm glad I can bring something to the show that you all might not have stumbled upon, just because, like, I don't know, it might be a hard record to kind of stumble into.
The album cover reminds me of a famous another jazz album.
Dude, it looks like I know what you're talking about.
Blue. It looks like Miles. What's his name? June, help me out.
I was thinking of a different one. I think it was like a there's a particular. It's like someone in their quintet, but it's a
it's like cover. Miles Davis, Blue, like his
kind of blue. Do you think it's kind of blue?
It looks because it's like a close up of his face as well, or my
blowing on the that's true. The kind of blue is that,
and it's kind of the same.
I mean, there's a lot of jazz albums,
but I mean this one has a similar color to it. It just reminded me of that. That's like the closest thing I can. God,
it's definitely this is a good format.
So June, give us your, because we've been babbling a little bit, and I'm always curious to think about what you think of something when we haven't.
This is the pick that like I brought to June that I am like this needs to be next level loved. Like this needs to be. I have high hopes.
It never happens. It only happens when you don't expect it to happen. She's gonna come in and be like, it's okay, 7. Maybe a light 8 on a good day, and you just got to get over it, man.
I think I have a few picks that could really swing June this season that she wouldn't.
I don't know, dude.
Otherwise.
She's been really so far. June has taken up the bottom 5 of this fucking season so far, which is crazy.
Okay, what are my? Okay, no.
June, so far between the 2 of us of this season, you've gone lower than a 5, and I haven't got anything there yet. With fucking
hold the fuck on.
Beverly Glenn Copeland, dude.
He gave it a 5.
Yeah.
You gave it like a 4. I think he went to a 4 though.
You gave it a 5. It's logged.
I thought Rib wasn't law, you piece of shit. It's only when it involves you. Does it not?
Well,
yeah.
As we know, there's only one true scripture, and it's the spreadsheet on my computer. So,
but yeah,
What?
June. So far, you're 3 on bottom 5 for Brian. You've brought a lot of mess stuff for Brian lately this season.
Shut the fuck up. You're
Hats,
mad
Beverly
piece of-
Glen. I know I'm missing one.
Okay,
Brian.
you liked all of those, so why are you getting on me? You should be on my side, making fun of
Because it's
Brian for
hilarious.
being
Because I'm used to
dumb.
being on all y'all's bottom 5, but to hear June's
Oh,
on there
fair.
more than me.
Chaz got super duper shat on last season.
Chaz chooses, Chaz picks, and gets what he expects out of them. He is not expecting to give his, like, Watt Tyler. He's not expecting us to go, come on, give Watt Tyler a 9. Like, I
Dude,
don't
that would
think
make
he's
my
ever-
day, though. That would fucking make my day if that happened. This next pick, spoilers, if y'all come in like higher than a 4, I will be shocked. I'll be fucking shocked.
You're such
I'll be
an
happy.
asshole.
I'll be happy.
You're such a fucking
I'll be
asshole.
happy.
You know what you're doing.
I'll be happy, but goddamn, I'll be shocked. I'll be fucking blown away if my shit gets higher than like a 4.
Oh
It
my
might.
god!
It
I
might.
would rather if you were like a mega shoegaze virgin or some shit. Like that would be better than this.
Hey, even when I'm like that with Blackwatch, dude, I get shit on. I can't win. I can't fucking win on this show sometimes, dude. I just can't. So anyway, that being said, June, what did you think of Live at Fillmore West? I'm very
Yeah.
curious.
Now that we're done with this 5-minute derailing.
This was a really cool jazz record. I agree with you all that the best part about it is the energy and the performances. I will say that I think that the compositions themselves sometimes are a little plain. They do mix it up quite a bit by having the Memphis Soul Stew, or at the very beginning of the track listing, is a fantastic mood setter for the record, and you have some calmer tracks, and then you have the Whole Lot of Love cover, which is kind of like a rock tune, like a jazz, version of a rock tune that just
Yeah,
kinda
when this
comes
guitar
out of
comes in, you're
nowhere.
like, whoa, there's guitar on this jazz record? What the fuck?
Also, Signed, Sealed, Delivered. There's a cover of that as well, instrumental. But despite this, I do think that they're, for the most part,
Called it. Fucking
I don't know.
called
Like,
it.
I don't think the compositions are as amazing as they could be.
Brian,
I don't think
just
the
know June
compositions
so much.
stand out to me the way that I wanted them to. And that's not saying they're bad. That's just saying that I'm not quite as wowed as the two of
That
you
just
are.
says,
I
I've
wish
heard
I
more-
was. I wish I was.
Nah, that's code
and-
for I've heard way better jazz than this. That's what that's code for.
I feel like I've heard better jazz, but this is by no means bad or even like fucking below average. Like, it's still really good.
Brian, if it makes you feel better, this is a walk I took so much in high school. I took this walk so many goddamn times in high school. Like, it's not even fucking funny, dude.
I stopped listening to June when she started being wrong, and I started looking at your movie ratings on Rimchaz. You actually have Drake and Josh Go to Hollywood at a 5.
Dude, it's fucking awesome.
And Avengers Age of Ultron? What the fuck?
Dude, underrated. It's better than the first one, dude. Fucking love that shit.
But it's as good as Groundhog Day?
Yeah. I judge movies way differently, dude. Don't give me
No,
started.
I mean, this is like based but awful.
Dude, you should. My first 2 ever Rim rating movies were Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and
Which is a wonderful movie.
and the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, which is goated.
Literally going through the first 3 movies in his 5s. 12 Angry Men. Okay, yeah, that yep. Amadeus. Okay. Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
That one's like that's the only pick in here that's like, that's just kind of lame. I'm sorry, Chaz.
I
And
love-
Jackass 2, but not Jackass like 1. The
Dude,
one
Jackass
where
2
it's
is
not
better than-
sad to watch.
Dude, Jackass.
No,
2 is better.
Jackass 2 is so
We've literally had
mean-spirited.
this argument before on the show, my guy. We've literally had this argument before. Jackass
I'm glad you liked Killer Clowns from Outer Space so much. That movie's fucking great.
Fuck
Kill
yeah.
Bill Volume 1, but not 2. That just might be me. That might be a me thing.
One's
I've always
better.
liked 2.
One's
I've always
better.
liked 2 more
I
than
don't
1,
like
but
the
it
The
has been-
Sting. Okay, see, Chaz has good opinions sometimes. He has The Sting in his 5s. That's a great movie.
Oh, Sting's awesome. That fucking twist at the end, dude.
Yeah.
Legendary.
I remember I watched it I watched it in college in the dorm room.
Hold on.
And I was
Before
like
you
watching it on the
continue,
TV.
before you continue, unwarranted movie opinions. Unwarranted movie opinions.
That's the movie episode. Finally, dude.
All right. Continue, June.
I was
she's
watching
done.
it on the TV and in the dorm room like freshman year, and one of my
Look at my
roommates
movie
was
ratings.
like not watching it, but he was in the room like while it was playing and like barely paying attention. And when the big reveal comes in, he's like, "Whoa!" And I was like, "Wait, you've been watching?" And he's like, enough to kind of get what's going on, but that was like, I may have to watch this again.
Brian, it kind of stinks for you airing on my dirty laundry on my Rim movie ratings, dude. But my shit's based. My shit's fucking based, dude. You ain't gonna see ratings like that. You should look at my mid-tier. You could tell all my mid-tier stuff is shit my fiance showed me.
You like the new Cruella?
Dude, it was pretty damn good. Surprisingly pretty damn good.
The white chicks is at an 8.
Guilty pleasure. Strong guilty pleasure.
I feel that we really...
Anyways, I give King Curtis live at Fillmore West a 7.
Boo! Boo!
Now I know how like the damn people feel.
Far.
Like this is actually how people who are mad at Fantano for giving Damn a 7 feel. Like this is what it feels like.
Damn, a
like
7?
To be told your album is good and to be mad.
The performances alone are an 8, June. You're high. Fucking
this is
high.
dumb.
The performances are great. It's just that I don't know.
Well, let the person who's based, who gives White Chicken 8 next to fucking what's another 8 on my Rim movie ratings.
I don't know. Probably something awesome like The Shining, isn't it?
Yeah. Decent 9. Fucking incredible. The fucking performances, man.
I would echo that, like a decent 9.
Oh,
it's fucking awesome. I love that.
If you want a good laugh, go to like my 6s and 5s, and you could just tell that every movie there is something my fiance showed me. Like it's really.
Your fiance must have shown you Cruella.
No, we just went to go see that on our own, dude. It was great. We really enjoyed it.
I can't abide these ratings. This is like me and you are like the duality of man's. Like you liked growing up in the 2000s. Like you were into it.
I wasn't miserable like you. And I won because I had a angry white boy face, but I was into new metal. You got the post-grunge side, dude. I won. I got the better
That is
genre.
kind of tough. Yeah, no, that's actually true. But to be fair, the new metal shit is kind of cringe too. There's a lot of
but when it's good, it's like, hold on, this is kind of fucking amazing.
Saving Mr. Banks. Oh my god, that was the first date I ever went on. That was the movie we went to.
Was it a hot makeout date or was it a legitimately, let's go watch this movie date?
Is it a hot makeout date? I don't know.
Do you think I was having hot makeout dates in high school?
I mean, June, are you having hot makeout dates right now? So, I mean, I don't see why it has to change.
Maybe.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, next time is a regular episode.
If you all want a fucking glorious gallery of art, go look at my Rim movie ratings. They're fucking incredible. I'm proud of them.
I think we really did a good job staying on topic this episode. And
speaking of next episode,
yeah, it's a regular one, like I said. So it's a regular episode.
But he's back.
We have a guest. The return of Tom Hummer from
Velocities
Fast Sounds. It's something like that. I can't remember the name. And he's gonna come back for whatever fucking reason and let Chaz ruin his day again and pretend to like it.
Bruh.
Tom Hummer of Velocities in Music. He's also a musician. He has albums out. You can look him up. If we're gonna have him on the show, we should at least like plug him properly.
No,
well, he's just become a friend of ours. Like we're all just good friends at this point. Like I wish Tom happy birthday. I wish Tom.
Gotta make sure we.
We don't have to plug him. We don't have to plug him.
Pop. We gotta make sure we plug him.
No, we don't. I literally wish this motherfucker happy birthday like a couple weeks ago. Like we don't need to plug shit.
I'll plug the shit out of him. We can let him plug us too.
Yeah.
I don't know why you guys are trying to make this sexual because that's an actual phrase. Plug people's shit. Like, come on.
I know, but stop. Plug doesn't sound like a word anymore. It's like plug.
It sounds like a shitty genre of like metal. Like I listen to.
It sounds like just like a noise, like plug.
Plug.
Anyway, he's gonna be on. It's a regular episode. We can pick whatever we want. We're gonna start it off with June because she's like she's always ready with this. Her pick.
You know what? I am ready. You stupid bitch. We're gonna do.
I complimented you. Don't know why I got insulted.
An album of music released
on CD
in 1906.
Wow.
It's
Incredible.
fucking
All right,
tough.
we're gonna go with
1906.
1966 record from Brazil. I really, really wanted to talk again about Brazilian music after we talked about Gal Costa. And this is some samba that predates most of what Gal Costa did. And it's a record that I think is incredibly underrated. It needs to be talked about more. It's just fantastic in every way. And that is Os Afro Sambas by Baden Powell and Vinicius de Moraes.
That is going to be a link dropped and copy paste kind of situation.
Wonderful record. Wonderful samba record from the 60s.
I'm going to go with an Indie-tronica pick, believe it or not. From 2005, I think. Yeah. This is Imogen Heaps.
Yep.
Speak for yourself.
Is it Imogen or Imogen?
This is Imogen Heaps. Speak for yourself.
Ooh, what you say?
Yeah, most famous for the song that Chaz is singing right now, Hide and Seek, but it's actually a really great album, I think.
I woke up this morning before we recorded and thought to myself, you know what? I've had a pretty good streak so far in this season. Let's fuck that shit up right now. This was going to be a contender for the nostalgic albums picks. I have no shame in when I say these words. I'm proud of how I came to be to discover this. It's a hilarious tale. I hope that this time what I hope is that one of you likes it and Tom hates it, because I love when Tom rants. The way he rants about shit is the funniest. Like the words he uses to describe things he doesn't like is hilarious. But yeah,
Tom is not gonna like this shit at all.
He's not. He's very like, even in like the high art shit that kind of falls in this caliber, like Dorian Electra. He gives like a 5 to.
Whoa, high art.
Like even that way, he gives it like a 5. So this is not high art. Maybe some would consider it to be. I wouldn't. We're gonna go with famed happy hardcore breakcore artist. Kind of revolutionary in the genre, actually.
Oh, son of a bitch.
We're going to go with Renard's A Picture of Finn Farting, released in 2011. It's a fucking trip, bro. It's just a trip. Some crazy extreme EDM for you that will probably
I'm so scared that this is going to be awesome. Like that's my biggest fear, is that I have to honestly like be an enjoyer.
I will give way more context of who this artist is, and if you know, you know, which is why everybody who knows is probably like shaking their head at me right now and probably questioning my very reality at this point.
Thank God Tom's on this episode, because otherwise no one would fucking watch.
But I think
these are not picks people are going to be excited about.
At the core being of the show, it's about a great discussion, and hot damn, the discussion on this one is going to be fun.
I think we just had a really great discussion about movies.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my album. Some Gabber for you. Good luck. And
what's Tom picking?
Thomas picked a weird one this time with a band called Brainiac and their 1996 release Hissing Prigs and Static Couture, or Couture. Who knows?
This has been Unwarranted Music Opinions. I'm June Lindbergh. I was here with Brian Courtney.
Yeah.
And Chaz Jenkins. And if you really want to come back, if you really feel like this podcast is worth listening to, then by God, we'll see you next time.